What's up, YouTube? This is Fluffy coming at you with another deck profile from St. Petersburg. This one actually got top 4. It's Testa's Royal Paladin, more specifically his Sanctuary Guard deck with Swordmies and stuff. He made top 4. He went pretty good in regular Swiss. And then, yeah, top 4, I guess, is pretty good. Alright, so, Josh, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Alright. First off, shout out to Matt and Gabumon. This token was really good luck all day.
Deck master.
And for the starter, we have Shining Knight Millius. I've seen other builds run the Jewel Knight Tiffany starter, but I feel as if this is the more consistent starter. Even though it is GB1, you want to consistently be able to get your combo off, like whether it be getting your Swordmy or whether it be getting your Twin Sword. Like, you want to be able to have a way to get the grade 2 that you need. Even like a sword breaker, or not a sword breaker, but a violinist can get you pretty much a full field off of one card.
That's a violinist to Swordmy. Sounds pretty good to me.
For the triggers, we have for Rachelle or Rachel, whatever the hell her name is, because crits are good, and obviously they have Jewel Knight in their name because you wanted to make Swordmy as consistent as possible. Then we have 4 of the Jewel Knight Noble Stingers, also Jewel Knight in its name, crits, and then 2 more crits. We have the new crit from GB4, and with GB4 we got our 3rd Jewel Knight crit, so in theory you could run 12 critical triggers with all Jewel Knights in their name.
And what does he do if it's even relevant?
I mean, it's not really relevant in my deck, but at the end of the turn, if you have a Vanguard with Jewel Knight in its card name, and you have 3 other Jewel Knights, you can draw a card and then put this unit back into the deck and shuffle it.
Wow, it's pretty good.
So it's not bad in an actually reverse deck. This would be a definite 4 of.
Yeah.
Onto the grade 1s. Or I'm
Not
sorry,
the
I lied.
It's all good.
We have 2 draws. Originally in testing, I was running 12 criticals, but I felt as if the deck lacked a certain draw power and lacked a good defensive trigger other than heals. So I felt like putting in 2 draws would be consistent, and I wouldn't draw a draw off a draw. I have really bad luck with draws. It seems that whenever I hit draws, I usually draw draws off of them. So I felt like running 2 would justify not drawing a draw off of a draw. I mean, and you would think it wouldn't happen with 2. I've done it before, and it's terrible.
How were they this weekend?
They were really good. In one of my matchups, actually against Jermaine, the Metalboard player who won the whole thing, I played him round 4.
Okay.
And I hit a draw defensively, and it drew me into a Perfect Guard.
Nice.
And even though Perfect Guards aren't really good against Metalborgs, it was in the situation I was in because it allowed me to Perfect Guard his Vanguard early game so that I was at 2 damage late game when he went for his combo, so I was able to no guard and survive.
Okay.
And then obviously 4 of the Jewel Knight heals.
Polli.
Because healing is really good.
Yep. Now on to the grade 1.
Yes, now on to the grade 1s. I chose to go with the 4 Jewel Knight Perfect Guards.
Okay.
I found in testing I was originally running the unflipping perfects, but I felt like I didn't have enough Jewel Knight targets. Even though all of my triggers were Jewel Knights, there were times where I just didn't have the Jewel Knight damage, and in all reality, I only want, at the very least, I want 1 Jewel Knight damage to make at least 1 Swordmy alive early game. So I felt like this was the better option, and even this weekend, like, it was really good against my Metalboard matchup because I was able to Perfect Guard when he would swing into my rear guards to make sure that I stopped the Laurel play. So this was really, really good. Obviously 4 of the Royal Paladin Stride Fodders, because it's a stride-based deck, you want to stride as often as possible, and because Regalia pretty much will give you the game.
Yep.
We have I'll go with the Secret Tech first.
Okay.
It's the Hidden Sage Miron. Basically it interacts with Sanctuary Guard Dragon, like when you ride him on Vanguard, his on-ride skill, you can discard a Royal, and then call a grade 1 Royal Paladin, and then you trigger this. When it's called from the deck to rearguard, you can Soul Blast a card and draw a card. So it's just an easy +1, and it's a grade 1. It's a free grade 1 for Sanctuary Guard.
Did you like the 1 of?
Yeah, it was really good 1 of. Like,
okay.
And even if you damage this or draw this early game, like I saw that if I drew this early game, I would just ride it and get it out of the way, so I could save my Jewel Knights in hand. Yep. And if it goes to damage, it's not really a problem because I play this card, which is the Limit Break Enabler.
Okay.
And if you do happen to draw or damage the Miron early, this is your next target to go into because you want to make Sanctuary Guard's Limit Break live as soon as you go into him, because you're going to be swinging with a 25 or 28 Vanguard right off the bat. So that's why he was really good. I played 2 because just in case you draw 1 or damage 1, you still have 1 that's live.
And he has Jonah in the card name, which also helps.
Exactly. And then to round off the grade 1s, I play 3 Cymbeline.
Okay.
This card is absolutely amazing. He doesn't go off early game as much as I'd like because I don't run the Jewel Knight starter.
No, but late game he's amazing.
But late game, like if I have my columns and I want to create the 4th attack with Twin Sword or even the 5th attack with Twin Sword, it's good because I can call out Swordmy. Swordmy's effect to bring out this guy, and if I have other Jewel Knights, I can rest him, give +10 to my Swordmy, and Swordmy swinging 28 by itself. So that's insane.
It's a game-breaking number.
Exactly.
Is that the best grade 1 in your deck, you think?
I mean, this card has single-handedly won me games, just because it hits for insane numbers.
Is a really good number.
Onto the grade 2s. This is where it gets like pretty broken. This is where the core of the deck is right here. Obviously 4 Jewel Knight Swordmys.
35 apiece.
The hype is real because this card is absolutely amazing.
It's gonna go up to 40.
Definitely the best +1 in the game, I'd say. The only restriction about it is you have to counterblast a Jewel Knight. But that isn't a problem with all of your triggers being Jewel Knights, and then the majority of your grade 1s being Jewel Knights.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of the times, like this, you can go early game. Like if your opponent gives you 2 damage, early game, because you want to take damage.
Yep.
You can go Violinist on Vanguard. If you have 2 counterblasts, you can go Activate Skill, bring out a Swordmy, and then if you have a Jewel Knight damage, you can counterblast that, and then bring out a column for free on turn 2.
He rewards you for taking early damage or even getting critted. Like, it's just rewarding.
Literally. And then on to the other broken grade 2,
Mm-hmm.
Starlight Violinist. We run this guy at 3. If I had space, I would definitely run it at 4.
Yep.
Because you want to ride this every single game that you can.
So suspect. Oh, God.
Yeah, it's great. Like, with this card, because people know you play this card, there's times where, for instance, against Francisco, the Metalborg player that top 3'd the regional in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I was playing against him in the last round. And he knew that that I played this card, and on turn 2, because he was going first, he swung with his grade 2, and he hit a crit. And instead of giving the crit to his Vanguard, he gave the power to his Vanguard and gave the crit to his rear guard, so he wouldn't deal 2 damage, because he knew that I had this. And it was actually really good for him, because I was able to just call this, and then instead of calling out a Swordmy, I just called out a Twin Sword.
So it was actually threatening against him to the fact that he didn't critted you. Okay. That's actually
But the fact
crazy.
that it works on Vanguard is just devastating.
Just the fact that he manipulates your opponent's options is so hilarious.
Yeah. And even late game, like you can like alt mile or use the starter's effect to bring him out and then call out like a Swordmy or a Twin Sword and just create a full field off of
and give him a
nothing.
number so he can hit for a number. I agree. Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then the guy that pretty much has the best synergy with Sanctuary Guard, Twin Sword. He's a GB1 skill. He says he's an Amber clone. So when he's boosted, you can call out any grade 2 from your deck that isn't him for 1 counterblast. So basically, when you ride or when you stride Regalia, you ideally want to have a full field, and one of your most common combos is like swinging with this column or swinging with the rear guard in the front, using Twin Swords effect, calling out another rear guard.
Yep.
And then swinging Vanguard, you can pump that for all the triggers. So you're basically getting 4 attacks off with Regalia.
So he just makes your plays potent as hell, pretty much.
Yeah. And there's also a really, really broken combo with this card. And Starlight Violinist. Like, for example, like, let's say you have him. I don't know. Let's just, for instance, let's just say that. Yeah. And you have this and this. And your Vanguard's in the middle. Let's just say we have Regalia.
Yep.
What you do is, if you have 3 open counterblasts, you can swing here first, swing with Twin Sword, activate Twin Sword's effect to call out a Violinist in this spot, and then you activate Violinist's effect, counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, to call out another copy of Twin Sword, because Twin Sword can't call himself out.
Correct.
And the good thing about Twin Sword is he's not a once per turn ability.
As long as he's boosted.
As long as you have a way to bring out a second Twin Sword other than using Twin Sword, you can get the second attack off.
Yep.
So then you basically use the booster, boost that, and then call out, depending on what you have, if you have like another counterblast for Swordmy, you can call a Swordmy here, get a rear guard. But ideally, you want to bring out probably the 12k attacker, then swing as a 21 line.
Yeah.
But it's really devastating, especially when your opponent only has like 6 or 7 cards in hand, and when they're at 3 or 4 damage, it's just you're applying so much pressure.
Yeah.
So that's that. I think I already mentioned it, but for the last grade 2 that we run 2 of the 12k attackers. I mean, it's pretty standard because if you bring him out with Regalia and you have 3 grade 1 or less, he swings for 21 by himself. That's a magic number.
Yep.
That's pretty much the only reason we run him. And he's pretty good with Alt Mile too, because if you stride into Alt Mile, if you have a 7k booster behind him, he'll also hit 21, which is still a really good number.
Agreed.
The grade 3s are pretty straightforward. We run 4 of the Sanctuary Guard Dragons.
Okay.
Really, really busted card. It's his Limit Break 4 ability is he gets +3 when he attacks for every grade 1 or less rearguard that you have. So it's really good. Like if you're riding him and your opponent's still a grade 2 and you call out the Limit Break Enabler, you can just apply pressure.
He's swinging for that big number anyway.
Yeah, and also the ability that you really, really use him for is his first one, where when he rides, you discard a Royal Paladin and you can call a grade 1 Royal Paladin to rearguard. That's where you.
Miron.
Yeah, preferably Miron, where you get your +1. And a lot of the times, like I've had like a grade 2 and 1 in hand to stride.
Okay.
And instead of having to -1 to stride, I top decked like a grade 3 or a stride fighter off the Miron, so it's pretty clutch sometimes. And the Miron's also drawn me like perfect guards and like other useful grade 2s that helped me win the game. Yep. Exactly. And then the last grade 3. Really not that good, but you use it just for its name, is Sanctuary Guard Regalia, Guarantee. His GB1 skill is, when he swings, it's pretty much the same thing as a Sanctuary Guard. He gets +3 for each grade 1 or less rearguard. And he also has a rearguard ability that, when he swings, you can counterblast 1, and he gets +3.
Okay.
I mean, there's actually a couple times where I've used that, because off of Sanctuary Guard, if I call out the Miron, and I call this in front of it as like an attacker, I can counterblast 1 with him, and that makes a 19 line. That's really good if your opponent's still a grade 2, or if you want to like snipe a pesky rearguard.
Yep.
And so it really isn't that bad.
How many times have you rode him this weekend?
I had to ride him like 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
But to be honest, I only lost 1 game where I had to ride him. The other games I still won, because in all reality, as long as you have your grade 2 combos, like you're good. Okay. Like losing out on the Miron draw is really not that big, but as long as you can go into Regalia and pressure with your grade 2s, like you're fine. Okay. Onto the stride deck. Best stride of this format, I think, is the Sanctuary Guard Regalia. Yep. For those of you that don't know what he does, when he attacks, it's a continuous effect. Yep, there you go. It gives your whole entire front row +3 for each grade 1 or less rearguard that you control. So a lot of the time, mainly you're going to be having, like, your boosters are going to be grade 1 or less, so you're going to have +9 to the whole front row. But there's times where I'll even have +12 or +15 to the front row if I can call a full field of like triggers and grade 1s, and it's devastating. Like when you have a draw trigger that's swinging for 24 by itself, that's pretty valuable. It easily counters witches. Like exactly. It's hilarious. And the fact that it's a continuous ability, it works so well with Twin Sword because you just keep calling out more units and swinging for numbers that are over 20.
It's either cards out of their hand or cards they're losing from the field.
Yeah, it's insane. One of tech is we run Gablade. Okay. He's pretty decent. I went into him once all weekend. Did he do anything? Yeah, he was pretty good. I went into him against Revengers, and he actually won me the game. Nice. Because the Revenger player I was playing against, like for some reason, he was avoiding attacking my Vanguard. Okay. So he was killing my rear guards. Okay. And I was like, all right. So I didn't really have any like resources, so it didn't make any sense to really go into Regalia. Yeah. So I was like, I'll just go into Gablade and get a free grade 2, and it resolved. It hit, and I was able to call out a Twin Sword and then make another column. Nice. All right. So I was like, okay, that's not bad at all. So yeah, he was pretty clutch.
Pretty interesting.
And he's obviously like the first target for G assisting. Like I usually get rid of one of him and one Regalia for G assisting. Yeah. For our GB2 strides, we run 2 Alt Mile. This is the new stride from the GB4. That card is absolutely amazing because he calls out a grade 2 for absolutely no cost. Okay. So let's say you have 1 counterblast, you can essentially bring out like a Violinist and use Violinist effect to get a Twin Sword or if you have 2 counterblast, you can get a Swordmy, whatever. And the good thing about him is, he pretty much essentially hits the same numbers as Regalia, depending on what your field is. Because, for instance, like, if you call this guy out, and use his effect to bring out like a 12k attacker, automatically the unit that you call out with Alt Mile is getting +5.
Nice.
So this will be 13 on its own, and plus a 7k booster is going to be 20. But he also has a continuous effect that says your entire front row gets +3.
So that's
going to be 23 on its own.
That's pretty good.
And also, if you have the 12k attacker with a 7k in front of it, that's going to be 19. And plus the 3 from Alt Mile
22.
is going to be 22.
It's pretty decent numbers.
So it's essentially the same numbers as Regalia would be giving you, except you can build a full field off of him.
So pretty much he's like a Regalia and Alt Mile all wrapped up in one.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah, this guy's insane.
All right.
And if I wasn't running the Jewel Knight engine, you could also run the Alt Mile crit, because it would work with him, even if you don't run Alt Mile, because he does have Alt Mile in his name. Exactly.
Grade 3 or greater. It's pretty good.
So that's just something to know. And to top off the strides, we play 2 Holy Dragon, Saint Blow Dragons.
Okay.
These are the tripwares, but I just picked up 2 SPs this weekend. I just haven't put them in yet.
All right.
But this guy's really, really clutch. Like in the late game, like if you've gone through all of your opponent's perfect guards, or you know that they don't have the perfect guard in hand, you stride into this and you pretty much win the game.
And what does he do? Like word for word, if you know?
Word for it, I'll read it for you.
Thank
it
you.
says, choose a face down card named Holy Dragon, Saint Blow Dragon from your G zone and turn it face up. So it's a free cost.
Yep.
This unit gets +3 for each of your rear guards until end of turn. And then if the number of face up cards in your G zone is 2 or more, and the number of rear guards you have is 2 or more, this unit gets an extra crit. So it gets an extra crit. That's all you need to know. A Royal Paladin that gets +3 for each card in the field, so essentially you're going to have a full field almost at all times. So it's going to be +15 to this guy with an extra crit. So he's going to be swinging like 47, 48 on his own. So if your opponent doesn't have the perfect guard, there's no way in hell they're going to be able to guard that.
Like, pretty much he goes into him last. If his opponent's been perfect guarding this whole game, and they don't realize that Saint Blow's still in the extra deck, he's pretty much winning the turn he goes Saint Blow.
Like, in all reality, I don't really go into this guy often because ideally Regalia's going to be winning you the game.
Yep.
And against Sanctuary Guard, a lot of players like to kill your rear guards because that's basically your main strategy. Like, that's how you're killing them. And after your opponent does that, you want to punish them by going into Alt Mile and then just recalling a full field.
Yeah.
So, but this guy is really clutch in certain situations.
Alright, you want to talk about your matchups real quick?
Yeah, my matchups. Round 1, I played Revengers.
Okay.
It wasn't really too exciting. Like, game 1, I double crit him when he was at 3 damage, and it was a swift victory for me. In game 2, it went back and forth. He ended up break riding his Abyss Legion. Okay. And, like, applied a lot of pressure. Like, he hit 4 triggers, and it really messed me up, but I was able to stride into Regalia next turn, and I was able to do my whole combo where I make 5 attacks, and he wasn't able to guard everything. Right. And he didn't have the perfect guard, which helped me a lot. So he wasn't able to guard the Regalia. But round 2, I played Revengers again.
Nice.
This guy actually took me to game 3. Game 1, it was a swift victory for me. Not too exciting, like I said. Game 2, he started playing this strategy where he, like I said, he didn't want to give me damage, and it actually paid off for him because he was able to. First he broke road Abyss, and then he abyssed me again, and that game he healed 4 times.
Nice. Okay.
Because he kept recycling his heals every time he would Legion. So I was like, that pretty much gave him the game. And then game 3, it was funny because Wilbur walked by and he saw me beat him I was at 0 damage when I beat him.
Nice. And
because he let me stride first because I guess his hand was bad, but I strode first and I killed him on my first stride.
Nice.
I called a draw trigger as an attacker, and the draw trigger was swinging 21 or 24 on its own. And then
it's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Game 3, or round 3, I played against Mega Colony. Game 1, I beat him just because of pressure. He didn't have the perfect. Game 2, he got me in his stun lock, so I just couldn't top deck the grade 3. And then game 3, he was really close to beating me, and it pretty much came down to him stunning my Vanguard, and he went into the machining stride that stuns the Vanguard, but he made a crucial misplay where he forgot to activate the card's ability, and he didn't counterblast, and he didn't realize it until he was attacking me. And I ultimately got the game because of it. And I felt really bad because he was like extremely discouraged after the match. But that's one of those things where you just kind of live and learn. Like I'm guaranteeing that he's never gonna make that mistake again. But
that's hard.
Yeah, it sucks, but you can't forget effects like that. Yeah. Round 4, I actually got up paired against Jermaine, who was the Metalborg player that won the entire thing. And he was down paired to me. He was undefeated. But ultimately I ended up 2-0ing him. Because game 1 he didn't really see anything. And game 2, he did his whole break ride combo with Simbuster, but I had like 6 10Ks in hand, and I was able to guard it for no pass. Even if he drove check 2 grade 3s or 2 triggers, like it wouldn't have done anything.
So you're ready for the onslaught?
Yeah, and then next turn I was able to stride into Regalia and seal the game.
Okay.
And I felt kind of bad for him too, because since he was down paired, that could have hurt his tiebreakers like tremendously.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out good for him, I'd say, because he ended up going on to win the entire thing.
Nice.
But the round after that, I played against Francisco, who some people might know. He's from Tampa, and he just top 3'd at the most recent Georgia regionals. And the funny thing about him was he was playing Metalborgs too, and he was also down paired to me. He was the only undefeated when he played me. And I ended up 2-0ing him as well. Game 1, I don't remember if it was game 1 or game 2, but one of the games he had to G-assist into a grade 3. And I was just getting a bunch of free advantage, and he ended up healing at 6 damage, and it helped him survive 2 more turns, which was insane. His deck just didn't want to give up, I guess. But ultimately ended up getting it.
Was that round 5 or round 6?
That was round 6.
Okay, that was the final round, okay.
Yeah, it was round 5 then, because you said round 4 you played Jermaine.
I forgot to mention, round 3 wasn't the Mega Colony guy. Round 3 was my only loss. It was against the mirror match. And I was playing a guy...
That I didn't know, okay.
Yeah, I was playing against a guy from Tampa. This is actually when I was sitting right next to you, Fluffy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My bad.
It's okay. And I lost to the mirror match. Like, the mirror match is weird because, like, it ultimately comes down to who pretty much opens a better grade 2 rush, in my opinion.
Yep.
And he opened a way better rush than me, and ultimately he hit a critical trigger in both games that ultimately helped him win the game.
Yeah.
But anyways...
That was top 8.
Top 8, I ended up going into top 8 as the number 1 seed, because I beat both undefeateds.
That's so sad.
But top 8, round 1 of top 8, I was paired against Kenny, who was piloting my Oracle Think Tank deck. Quick shout out to Kenny for top 8ing with Oracle Think Tank. He was actually playing my exact build that I posted earlier on this channel.
The link will be in the description. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the description for you guys. But it's literally card for card the same exact build that I posted as the first video on this channel. But he was playing that, and I was really proud of him. He ended up going X2, but he was the number 8 seed, so he had to play me, and I ended up 2-0ing him.
Yep.
Because the thing is, like, with that deck, I've been playing that deck so long, so... Like, I know that thing like the back of my hand. It's hard for me to not know how to play against him. So he went in at a grave disadvantage.
Still top, though.
He did still top, and I'm really proud of him. So shout out to Kenny for that. And then when we went on to top 4, I ended up playing the Mega Colony player that Pedro had gone against earlier in Swiss. And I beat him game 1. Game 1 was really quick. I had pretty much all the advantage, and it was a quick victory for me. Game 2, he got me in his stun lock, and I just couldn't do anything.
It was still back and forth. You were still drawing your grade 3s here.
Because, like, ideally against Mega Colony, I want to just stay on grade 2 and pressure him as much as possible. But every single game, he kept seeing, like, an amazing grade 2 rush, and I was forced to ride grade 3. So, it kind of screwed me. But game 3, it was really, really, really not close at all. Because on turn 2, he put me at 5 damage because he opened, like... I can't remember. He opened a Mocketing Vanguard, another column, and then he opened the rear guard that says if it hits, you stand one of your rear guards.
Yeah, MK2, a column that was full, and then his full Vanguard column.
So he swings this column, I no guard, swings Vanguard, he hits the crit, gives a +5 to the Mocketing.
To the MK2.
The MK2. Swings to MK2, I didn't have enough to guard because of the trigger, so I'm forced to take that. I hit no defensives at all. In 5 triggers, I had no defensives.
And because it hit the grade 2 restands another unit. And
So
that card was amazing.
He did the same thing to me.
I went to 5 damage. I mean, my only out to that was healing, and I didn't heal. Then he just stunned me, and it was game over from there. But he ended up going on to the finals and losing to Jermaine in the finals.
Who you
but,
did beat earlier in the day.
But he was a really good player, and I respect him. I remember because actually when our team top 3'd at the regionals back in 2013, his team was a team that
Team
won.
6 damage heal.
Team 6 damage heal. And he was playing, I remember, he was playing Narukami.
That's correct.
And I was playing Narukami at the time, so I like the guy. But anyways, that was pretty much the matchups. Overall, it was a really good day. I ended up winning this awesome mat here that I can add to the collection. Ended up getting 15 packs, and then I ended up getting 25 ARG points. So
Nice.
I'm thinking that if Nationals ends up being in Philadelphia again, I kind of have to go just because it's my hometown.
It's like you're obligated to go now.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. But anyways, that's the deck. I hope you guys liked it, and like always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and get ready for a giveaway that we're doing when we reach 100 subscribers. Thanks, guys.